Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Church in Fall River, Massachusetts.
Thank you, Nancy. That was lovely. Good morning, Fall River. So lovely to be here again. My name's Reverend Terry Cummings, and I guess I need to move the microphone up.
Yeah, it's not
Oh,
picking up.
okay. Well, once again, good morning. I'm Reverend Terry, and I understand Deo is on the line with us, so a special greeting to Deo and all of you who are here in the sanctuary with us this morning. It's a beautiful spring day. Yesterday, where I live in Avon, Connecticut, was kind of yucky, and I was a little worried about driving here this morning, but it turned out to be a really nice drive. So it's wonderful to see you. And at this moment, I'm going to invite Richard up to light the chalice and get us on our way. It is customary in all UU services to light a chalice at the beginning of all our services. And actually, every meeting we have a little chalice lighting. Can't seem to do anything without lighting the chalice. So Richard will lead us through this.
We gather this hour as people of faith, having sorrows and joys, and deeds and gifts. We'd like to speak of hope as a sign of our quest for truth and meaning, and in celebration of the life we share together.
Thank you. And please rise in body or spirit as you're able, if that's the custom here, or sit down if that's the custom here. Our first hymn is number 347, Gather the Spirit, Harvest the Power. 347 in your great hymnal. Thank you so much. Please be seated. Our affirmation this morning is number 586 in the Teal hymnal. I think your order of service says 541, but that was a mistake on my part. Number 586?
It says 541, the idea of democracy.
Which is number 586. I gave you the wrong number. It's all on me. So I wore my stole today so I could look official, and I figured that would fool you into overlooking the mistakes. It's number 586. It's a UU church. These things happen. So I'll read the first line, and if you could follow along with the responsive readings. As labor is the common burden of our race, so the effort of some to shift their share of the burden onto the shoulders of others is the great, durable curse of the race. This expresses my idea of democracy. Whatever differs from this, to the extent of the difference, is no democracy. Destroy the spirit, and we have planted the seeds of despotism at our own doors. Why should there not be a patient confidence in the ultimate justice of the people? Is there any better or equal hope in the world? Let us have faith that right makes might. And in that faith, let us, to the end, dare to do our duty as we understand it. Those were the words of Abraham Lincoln. Thank you very much. And now I invite Kit up to share some announcements with the congregation this morning.
So first I want to welcome Terry for our second worship service for us here in Fall River.
Thank
We'll
you.
be back next year as well. Thank you. She came over from Connecticut. So she's pretty good over there. We appreciate that. And I also wanted to mention to you that Allison, who was a darling, had surgery last Friday, and she just came home on Friday. Is that correct? Yes, she came home on Friday. Because I texted her. So here's a card for Allison up here. Please sign it, and I'll pop it in the mail today. And also, let me tell you a couple of other announcements. We have 2 more Sundays before we are on summer break. So make a note. And,
Three more.
three more, okay, wait a minute. No, there's two more.
Verse 8 and 13.
The 7th, 14th, and the 21st.
Not the 21st.
That's Father's Day.
Father's Day is the 14th, I believe.
Father's Day is the 14th.
Oh.
Yeah. We start on
Father's Day is the 21st.
Yeah, the day.
21st.
I think the 14th is Father's Day.
It's not, that's not,
No,
it's
it's
not.
not.
21st is
If you want to do another Sunday, come see me because it's not scheduled. Tomorrow is what we have scheduled. But next week is Richard. He's going to lead us in worship, and he's going to tell you a little bit about it's Gay Pride Sunday.
The sermon is called Dr. John Rock and Gay Liberation. It's about the fact that one of the reasons, not the only reason, of course, but a contributing factor to the fact that gay marriage was approved at such a tremendously quick rate for major social change, is that straight people came to understand sex differently than they had before because of the birth control pill. They came to see sex like the way gay people see sex, at least most of the time.
Are there any more announcements to share? Okay, Nancy? And we have a reading to share with you. This is from a book by Krista Tippett, Speaking of Faith. It's one of my favorite books. Krista Tippett used to host a radio show on PBS on Sunday mornings, and it was very spiritual. So over to you, Speaking of Faith.
Hello, everyone.
Get close to the mic.
Hello, everyone. Our reading today is from the book Speaking of Faith, Why Religion Matters and How to Talk About It by Krista Tippett. Mystery is the crux of religion that is almost always missing in our public expressions of religion. It eludes and evaporates beneath the demeaning glibness of debates and sound bites. Mystery resists absolutes. It can hold truth, compassion, and open possibilities in relationship. This relationship could redeem our otherwise hopelessly literalistic, triumphalistic civic and religious debate. Wow, it's hard without teeth. We could disagree passionately with each other and also better remember the limits of our own knowledge. If mystery is real, even more real than what we can touch with our five senses, uncertainty and ambiguity are blessed. We have to live with that and struggle with its implications together. Mystery acknowledged is paradoxically humanizing. I find that mystery is a word people of every tradition love, whether they speak it often or not. It is a word that many non-religious people are open to embracing and exploring, perhaps more so now than in previous generations. Introduce mystery into any conversation, and the conversation gentles. Reality doesn't lose its sharp edges, but the sharp edges are not the end. Mystery takes form and substance, one life at a time. Though long ago we learned we could also summon its presence together. Mystery is all the heart of all ritual, layers and layers of ideas. Liturgy, postures, lifted prayer, constructed to capture and express something that cannot be contained. Mystery is apprehended fleetingly, but it leaves its mark. Our traditions are imprinted and suffused with it, endlessly washed and chastened by it, evocative of its memory, expectant of its return.
And now please join in a responsive reading, number 591. I'll read the first part and ask you to read the words in italics. Number 591. I call that church free which enters into covenant with the ultimate source of existence. It binds together families and generations, protecting against the idolatry of any human claim to absolute truth or authority. I call that church free which brings individuals into a caring, trusting fellowship. It is open to insight and conscience from every source. It bursts through rigid tradition, giving rise to a new and living language, to new and broader fellowship. The goal is the prophethood and the priesthood of all believers, the one for the liberty of prophesying, the other for the ministry of healing. And make it all things new. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. James Luther Adams was a very, very famous Unitarian minister from the 1960s and 70s, and he's one of the leaders of our faith. And the priesthood of all believers is one of the things he wrote about, which has always stayed with me. So thank you for sharing that with me. And now please join in singing our second hymn, number 298, Wake Now My Senses. Thank you. Thank you so much, Nancy. So Nancy just played the refrain from a Unitarian Universalist hymn that's in the Teal hymnal. And it's called Where Am I? So where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? It's a hymn that's named after a painting by Paul Gauguin. Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Mystery, mystery. Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Unitarian and Universalists have been asking questions like these about their denomination for decades, going back at least to 1961 when the Unitarian and Universalist denominations voted to join together under one religious roof. We used to talk about the merger of 1961. A Universalist once reminded me that if you're a Universalist, it was the amalgamation. And if you're a Unitarian, it was the merger. Did I get that right, Richard?
Consolidation.
Oh, thank you. See, we haven't been able to agree ever since then. Today, the questions, what are we? Where are we going? Seem more relevant than ever. And for many UUs, the answers to those questions are quite worrisome. Worrisome because the folks who exercise power and control over the denomination at the UUA and at some of the larger congregations seem to be intent on leading it away from our roots as a religious faith, away from the mystery. The work of social justice, as the denomination defines that work, casts its shadow over every aspect of the work that we do. Many folks might say that that is as it should be, but others see the spirituality, the mystery that attracted them to the denomination is endangered as a result. I want to be clear that I'm not being critical of working for social justice. It's what called me into ministry in the first place. But I am concerned that for those who are in positions of power within our denomination, the words anti-racism, anti-oppression, multiculturalism have become a mantra that has replaced our fourth UU principle of affirming and promoting a free and responsible search for truth and meaning, as well as the principle of democracy in our congregations and in the wider world. I personally believe that the UUA's focus on anti-racism and anti-oppression and multiculturalism has actually caused harm to Black and brown people and people who identify as transgender and non-binary. But that's not the focus of my sermon today. Instead, this morning, I want to invite you to reflect on where the line is drawn between religion and politics. I want to reflect on whether you are comfortable that the denomination, the Unitarian Universalist faith, is on the religious side of the line or the political side of the line. Because this congregation, like other UU congregations, is a member of an organization that seems to be going in a direction of its own, with minimal engagement of the congregations it represents. And your voices matter far more than my voice matters. The teachings of every religion that I can think of seek to influence the way people live their daily lives. They also seek to have an impact on the work of secular institutions, like governments and corporations and schools and universities. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King recognized this. The church is not a social club, Dr. King said in a sermon he delivered in 1966, a sermon he called Guidelines for a Constructive Church. The church is not a social club, although some people think it is. They get caught up in their exclusivism and they feel it's a kind of social club with a thin veneer of religiosity. But the church is not a social club. The church is not an entertainment center, although some people think it is. In the final analysis, the church has a purpose. The church is dealing with man's ultimate concern, and therefore it has guidelines that it must follow. These guidelines, King said, include the church seeking to heal the brokenhearted, freeing people from the prejudice and hate that holds them captive, and showing up in the public square to make the world a better place in many ways. Was Dr. King speaking as a pastor or as a politician or both? I think he saw himself as a religious leader. For him, the ministry that began at the church steps was religious work, even if it intruded on the world of politics. But central to King's work, and what made it religious work for him, was the faith that he had in a supernatural God, a God that called him to follow the teachings of Jesus Christ. I doubt that Dr. King ever forgot the mystery of religious faith that Krista Tippett described in our first reading today. Unitarian Universalism, which lacks a creedal belief, struggles to qualify as a religion in the traditional sense. When I first discovered Unitarian Universalism in the early 2000s, I was excited to embrace a tradition that believed in deeds, not creeds. I dove into the history of the tradition as well as mindfully practicing it. I joined my congregation's Undoing Racism Committee. I served breakfast to homeless people on cold January mornings. I went on marches and I showed up at demonstrations. In those early days, I found a sense of mystery that stayed through me right throughout seminary, through serving in parish ministry, and right up until today, that sense of mystery that religion brings. But in my brief experience as a parish minister, the mystery was always overshadowed by pressure from above to focus on issues of anti-racism, anti-oppression, and multiculturalism, and to urge the congregations I was serving to do likewise. As a result, many of the congregants that I served often felt scolded from the pulpit on a Sunday morning. In the last few years, I've heard Unitarian Universalism described more as a movement than as a religious denomination. Working to bring about social and political change has been the bedrock of Unitarian Universalism since the beginning. Back in 1971, it was the UUA who brought the Beacon Press, which was affiliated with the UUA at the time. It was the Beacon Press who brought the Pentagon Papers to the New York Times to be published, and was shortly thereafter investigated by the CIA. We are proud of our activism, of the work we've done. But what's different nowadays, though, is that the focus of the activism has shifted to you, the individual UUs and ministers. Instead of corrupt politicians being the target of our activism, many rank-and-file UUs feel that they've been singled out and accused of being white supremacists, where nothing is further from their minds. And many ministers are feeling the same way. In the last few years, our denomination has become divided, just as our country has become divided. Some congregations are split into two because of the divide of the UUA's new direction. So what are we? Where are we going? Is the Unitarian Universalism of 2026 a religion? And if not, what is it? A political party? A philosophy? The word religion is not defined in the Constitution or in any statute, and the Supreme Court has carefully avoided adopting a definition of religion. I think that most people, when they think about religion, envision a set of beliefs and practices surrounding the worship of a supernatural God. But beyond that, the definition is fuzzy. And if belief in a supernatural God is the test, Unitarian Universalism fails. We don't know what the framers of the Constitution meant by the word religion. In 1777, Thomas Jefferson drafted what would later become Virginia's Statute for Religious Freedom. Jefferson's Virginia law declared that Americans shall be free to profess and by argument to maintain their opinions in matters of religion, and that the same shall in no wise diminish, enlarge, or affect their civil capacities. That Virginia statute became the template for the First Amendment, which says that Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the exercise thereof. As I said, over the years, the Supreme Court has punted on what religion really means. As one commentator wrote this, the Supreme Court has ruled that religion entails a conventional belief in God, except when it does not. That religion entails a commitment to a traditional organized faith community, except when it does not. That religion excludes purely individual spiritual convictions, except when it does not. And that a court should not evaluate whether a particular belief is bizarre or weird, except when it should. The federal tax code, which exempts religious organizations from taxation, also offers little help distinguishing religion from politics. The tax code bans religious organizations from engaging in any political campaign activity for or against candidates for public office. Violating this rule can result in monetary penalties, or the revocation of tax-exempt status. Religious organizations can conduct non-partisan activities, such as voter registration drives. They can host candidate forums as long as they invite all of the candidates. They're permitted to mobilize voters and encourage them to register to vote. I raise this because our denomination does all of these things and more, as do others. What congregations can't do is tell their congregants who to vote for. I wonder how many churches across the country abide by that rule. So where does this leave us? Returning to my question, is Unitarian Universalism today a religion or something else? What are we and where are we going? Until recently, I would have said that Unitarian Universalism allows us all to bring our individual religious beliefs into a tradition that welcomes diversity. I would have said that Unitarian Universalism welcomes people regardless of their political beliefs, as long as they don't conflict with the basic principles of the faith. But today I'm not so sure. For 2 centuries, Unitarians and Universalists have found a way to accommodate each other's differences. I'm not so sure today that we still do. And when political divisions find their way into our congregations, it's never a good thing. It can lead to conflict and division. I wonder how many moderate Republicans have left our denomination in recent years because of the political agenda of our denominational leadership. I don't want to see them go. I may disagree with them on many counts, but I want to welcome them. In 1749, John Wesley, the founder of Methodism, delivered a sermon he called Catholic Spirit. In the sermon, Wesley asked, "Though we cannot think alike, may we not love alike? May we not be of one heart, though we are not of one opinion?" Republicans, as well as Democrats and independents, should be welcome in our congregations. What binds us together is a love of the transcendent mystery that religious questioning evokes. When that mystery is gone and working for political and social change is all that remains, our denomination is in danger of becoming little more than the social club that Dr. King spoke about. I believe that everyone, everywhere right now, is hungry for mutual forgiveness and mutual reconciliation. That means meeting people where they are, not where we want them to be. It means practicing empathy. The biblical Jesus taught that we should love our enemies, not berate them. As I said earlier, it doesn't matter what I think, but it does matter what you all think. For this is your church, your faith, your tradition. My hope for you and all small congregations like this one is that you will find a way to make your voices heard as our denomination maps out its future. And I ask you to then reflect, what are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Maybe so. Yes, indeed. And thank you so much for your attention. I know that was a kind of a negative homily this morning, but we need to start thinking about these very serious questions. Thank you so much for letting me speak to you today. And now I believe it's time to accept the offertory. We come to the time in our service when we share what I call matters of the heart, our joys and sorrows. This is the time to remember that joys are always magnified in the sharing and sorrows are always diminished. So please share whatever's on your heart today and state your name and before you share. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I was running a little bit late this morning. I missed the announcements, but I did secure us a table for the Pride next Sunday. That's gonna. Yeah, and I can put it next to the UIA table, so I can.
Yeah, and I was gonna say the same thing, I was forward here about that, yeah, we'll have a representation of our church at the.
And I'm communicating that extra table if you need it, so. Figure that out.
Next Sunday, I think it's
I missed you all last weekend, but I got to celebrate a dear friend of mine's 60th birthday, so it was nice. And I love that song. Thank you. I think that friendship is really important. And we're gonna have friends here at church.
Yeah, I'm Alan Joe. I think your sermon was excellent. It reminded me of, I worked for the government for a long time, specifically with defense, now for War Department. And listening to you reminded me, like, I worked as a civilian for a number of the services, actually all of the services. I finally ended up in what they call a purple suit organization. And a purple suit organization had all of the different services combined in an office to accomplish, a specific task. And in that organization, I was the only civilian. It was kind of bizarre. But what I noticed was fascinating is that not only does every service have a different culture, they have a different language. You could say the same exact phrase to each of the services, and it would be interpreted and acted upon in totally different ways. So, for example, you could say, I want to secure that building. Well, the Army securing that building is completely different than what the Navy secures the building, versus what the Air Force will secure the building, versus what the Marines will secure the building. And your sermon brought this up because I was thinking to myself, a lot of what's happening internally to our organizations is that not only are there different cultures sort of colliding, but they're speaking different languages. And one of the refrains that I say constantly when I'm at this church is that we need to have fearless, open communication. Because I think what you were talking about, fundamentally, we're all kind of looking for the same thing. But our language is different. But we need to recognize the fact that our language is different. And we need to get over that. And we need to look at what our ends are. And then we can see how much in common we have. I mean, it's disheartening, to see this fighting and squabbling. And, it boils down to sometimes, outright hatred of others that don't agree with your particular point of view. And I think a lot of times it's because the language that we're trying to use to communicate the ideas is not being interpreted, properly on the other side. But because we don't communicate, we can't express it. And so I thought your sermon was great.
Thank
You really
you.
brought that up to me anyway, that's what I was thinking.
Thank you so much.
So I know everybody said they all just to release out, I guess they for the ordination, and Beth, Richard, and I went, and it was a beautiful, thoughtful ceremony. It was just a stunning church. And most of the chapel was the chapel, and it was gorgeous. It was well attended, lots of people there, and she was just lovely. She was so, I mean, she was just a whole of energy. And I felt honored to be there. I did really well.
I have a joy to be. Joy is being here. 10 years ago, when I became homeless, I was in New Bedford. I came out of the shelter and I walked around the corner, and it was this big church, and I ended up finding out that it was the Unitarian church. For some reason, I was drifting and I went inside. That day changed my life. Because on that Sunday, the following Monday, the next day, I was going to have my battery changed. And I was scared because I was in New Bedford. I grew up in Boston and Dorchester, here I am in New Bedford. I walked in and I sat down and I listened to the sermon and everything that went on. And it was so beautiful that something happened. At the end of that service, they had the coffee and tea, and that's where I sat down and I was afraid of what was going on and what my next day was going to be. And a gentleman came over with two other people and sat down and introduced me to them, and it was Reverend Robert Hughes from New Bedford, and he runs the House of Hope. I had no idea what was going on and what was it, but he understood, and I told him what was going on the next day, which was going to be Monday, to have that surgery. And he said, I think I can help you because I have a place. He told me. But that day continued, and then the next day, Monday came. I was in the hospital, and Tuesday, this guy showed up, and I forgot who he was. And he was there, Robert Hughes, and another gentleman, Reverend Dr. David H. Brink, who became a great friend of mine. And he passed away recently, and we know that. And things got different. That was 10 years ago. Here I am today, 10 years later, on this Sunday. Tuesday, I'm going in to get my battery changed. Finally, I'm going to get it, and I have Richard, who's going to help get me back on my feet, because the doctor said, well, if you don't have anyone to help you with your medication, and the bandages, and making sure no one, all the little things. If you don't have anybody around you, continuously to look over you for a few days, till you get on your feet, it could be a problem. So I understood. He was willing to help and put me in that spot. And so I have to work with him on Tuesday. He's going to pick me up on Tuesday afternoon after the surgery. But, the whole thing is that there's only one person right now I can really, really say thank you to, is Steve. He gave me a place to live so I can continuously build my body to get healthy again, so I can get to this particular that I've been trying so hard to do, is to get that surgery. But not just that, but my torn rotor cuff and my shoulder, my foot, the other stuff I have to do, but that'll come later. But he's giving me an opportunity to at least get stronger and healthier, and to at least get my head straight so that I can continue with my medical and not fall behind like I did in the past. So here I am on the next day forward, which is kind of weird 10 years later, because every 10 years you need a battery change. And remember that, Eric, because I know you have a good ability just recently. And that AA battery is about 10 years. So I hope to see you with things. But like I said, I'm nervous because it's a simple outreach, but it's your heart. Anything can happen at any given time. So I don't know if the 3 other times, because they cut me Now is my flesh strong enough here on my chest because I'm a big little guy that I don't have a lot of meat? That wound gonna heal? Because there's no skin, there's no flesh, there's no meat. And that's what he was worried about. I'm not fat enough, I'm not plump enough. But Tuesday, I hope that everyone can have you in my prayers. I hope you thank you about it. And I just say thank you to the Unitarian Church for giving me another life and a chance. And this is the most beautiful place I could ever want to be in, is the Unitarian Church. And to be here with amongst you guys is just a feeling that, gives me confidence for Tuesday. When I go in Tuesday, like I said, I'm going to have you all in my heart.
Thank
And
you.
when I get that double A battery, I'm going to bring it back and I'm going to show you what a double A battery looks like. But yes, thank you all for being here in the Unitarian Church. And as I say all the time, thank you, Jesus, for letting me live another day.
Thank you for sharing that. And that's what church is all about, right? Thank you. Anyone else? Richard, did you want to share anything? Okay.
I'm the one new here, but, and I do, oh. It's all the way up. There we go. Right on? Yeah. Okay, I do share your concerns, I understand it, I remember back during the COVID era, I saw the backlash that we're currently experiencing, what's going to happen. And, but I do worry about this getting worse, because they seem to be more militant. The opposite, that's side of the spectrum, you know. It reminded me of what happened in Russia, and kind of the marriage between the Russian Orthodox Church and the United Russian Party. And it's very, that country terrifying. And my always my worst nightmare. Marriage would become more like that. And I just think it's important to fight against that. But, yeah, it's tough. I just thought about it.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Anyone else? Let's take a minute just to spend some time in prayer or meditation as you wish. Just take a few deep breaths. Just welcome the breath into your body. Bring it in deep. Feel it going into your lungs and moving your heart. Your beautiful heart, your beautiful mind. Just shut out all the things in the outside world that are bothering you right now. All the stuff that the Buddhists call dukkha. Just let the dukkha slip away and focus on your beautiful mind, your beautiful heart, your beautiful sounds. Still welcoming the breath into your body. Feel free of burdens and connect with just the beauty of what it is to be alive, to be part of this incredible mystery that is the world, the universe, that is our faith, that is our congregation. I invite you to join me in prayer or meditation. Spirit of life and love, God of many names and none. We're gathered here in this island, this sanctuary of love and hope on this incredible Sunday morning. We share our joys, our concerns, our beliefs. We share with one another this holy hour of worship, knowing that this is the time when we can be together as one, with all of the differences, all of the The things we disagree about set aside as we spiritually embrace one another in this moment of just being alive. Holy One, help us to not lose this moment. Help us to carry it with us throughout the week when we leave this place, and may we never let all of the stuff that's going on in the world take away from our feelings of appreciation and love for the world, for our lives, for our fellow people, and all of the animals and creatures within it. Holy God, thank you so much for this moment. Blessed be, and amen. And once again, I invite you to rise in body or spirit as you're able and join in singing our closing hymn. It's number 131. Love will guide us. Thank you. Please be seated. So our closing words are by Reinhold Niebuhr. Reinhold Niebuhr was a well-known professor in my seminary in the 1960s, 50s and 60s. Nothing that is worth doing can be achieved in our lifetime. Therefore, we must be saved by hope. Nothing which is true or beautiful or good makes complete sense in any immediate context of history. Therefore, we must be saved by faith. Nothing we do, however virtuous, could be accomplished alone. Therefore, we must be saved by love. No virtuous act is quite as virtuous from the standpoint of our friend or foe as it is from our own standpoint. Therefore, we must be saved by the final form of love, which is forgiveness. Thank you so much. May your roots grow deep, may your branches grow wide, and we now extinguish the chalice until we meet again next time. Richard, would you? And I think the words for extinguishing the chalice are in your order of service. I invite you to read along with me. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Thank you so much. Go in peace, and thank you for welcoming me into your pulpit one more time. And I know you have a choral amen that I'm going to sit down and let you take charge of.